that also allows state governments to take a look into electricity and see how well they can also better that particular sector. Those are the stories in the Daily Independent for today. Grab a copy for more this morning. Of course, Shade is here. Good morning.
Good morning, Said. It's nice to have you. To be here with you this morning. All right. Moving from the Daily Independent, let's check what the Daily Trust has. Starting with this, dollars sells for 1,355 naira at black market, and right, this the story. Official market closes at 902 naira per dollar, and many industries may shut down, according to Professor Shekhar. And FG has $1.5 billion World Bank aid, and it said it's needed to rejig the Nigerian economy to stabilize it. Army uncovers reservoirs with 3 million liters of crude oil in rivers. 3 million liters, or what was it called? 3M, yeah. That's liters of crude oil in rivers. Pictures of that you find on the Daily Trust. What a crook way of mining there. You find reservoirs emerged in some pits there, and the pipe too. All this contributes to environmental pollution. And come to think, the former governor of River State, now Minister for FCT, Yesom Wike, did a lot to actually curb illegal mining in River State when he was governor there. But then, seems it's a problem that it's hard to solve. But then it needs to be solved if the economy of the country is to move forward. All right, away from the illegal mining now, we also have this one on the Daily Trust. Days after CBN department's move, FG relocates fan to Lagos. Okay, let's see what impact that holds. The movement is also going to cost some amount, but then let's hope that the after effect of the movement will actually justify whatever is expended on the movement. Well, that will be all from the Daily Trust this morning.
All right, let's move from the Daily Trust newspaper to check the stories you'll find where you grab a copy of the Vanguard this morning. Impact of fuel subsidy. Removal tough on Nigerians. We're saying this, it's coming from the number one man. That's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the front page of the Vanguard. That's the lead story. Impact of fuel subsidy removal tough on Nigerians, says parents, guardians, students experiencing discomfort. Insist future is bright. Subsidy removal. Naira scarcity, others heightening panic, hardship. That's according to Catholic bishops. Kick against blessing of homosexual same-sex marriages. Expedite action to cushion effects of your ad economic decisions. That's according to Sharia Council. That's what the Sharia Council is telling President Bola Tinubu, to expedite action to cushion the effects of hard economic decisions. Ask President to tackle insecurity headlong. That's also one of the charge from the Sharia Council to the President this morning, what you find in the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. Above the nameplate, you also find, we won't allow CBN print money, says Budget Minister. That's on page 19 of the Vanguard. You want to understand the rationale behind what the budget minister is saying in the Vanguard. You check that page 19 for this story. We also find this in the Vanguard. Additional's book, Your 8-Year Rule Was Biased, Unjust, Nepotic, Clark Tells Buhari. Yes, reactions to trailing the launch of that book by former special advisor to the former president, Muhammadu Buhari. That's Femi Adesina. Updates on the Bado explosion is also in the front page of the Vanguard this morning. Ibadan explosion. Police declare owners of building wanted. Police declare owners of building wanted. You also find this from Abia. Policeman who invaded TV station to face orderly room trial. That's according to PPRO. Plateau polls discussion ongoing over appeal court judgment. That's coming from Governor Muftwang. Shetima taxed African leaders on continent's global GDP. You find that story also in the Vanguard. Vanguard is giving us a sneak into the developments at the Africa Cup of Nations going on in Cote d'Ivoire. It says Afghan cracker, Super Eagles peck elephants, brighten qualification chances. You find that story also in the Vanguard, page 31 for this morning.
All right, let's see what the Daily Sun has, moving away from the Vanguard. On the Daily Sun, reps blow hot over 75 billion naira COVID-19 funds. Ask ministry to refund amount. Raise issues over 10 billion naira undeclared money. So much billion, millions, heard misappropriated or in the economy. And then, well, reps blow hot over 75 billion naira COVID-19 funds. Let's hope that there will be probe there and there will be sanctions to follow it. All right, Abia TV invasion. 4 policemen face room trial. CP apologizes for officials' unprofessional conduct. Details of that story you find on page 5 of the Daily Sun. And still on the Daily Sun, we have this story again. Army uncovers bunkering sites with 3 liters crude oil in rivers. Find that also on page 5 of the Daily Sun. IOC's asset divestment. Nigeria loses nothing. That's coming from Lokoweri. You find the details of that on page 2 of the Daily Sun. Ex-CBN Governor Emefiele gets Kurt's permission to travel outside Abuja. All right. As FG raises charges from 6 to 20. All right. You want to know details of the charges leveled against Emefiele? Check page 4 of the Daily Sun for this morning. Aviation Minister orders relocation of FAN headquarters to Lagos. You find that on page 23 of the Daily Sun as well. OT appoints Okonjo Iweala, Sanusi, Ote, 16 others into Abia Economic Team. You find details of that on page 29 of the Daily Sun as well. And there is a picture. Yes, the Super Eagles captain William Trust Ekong celebrating with other members of the team after scoring against Cote d'Ivoire yesterday. Nigeria moves to 4 points. All right. Finally, from the Daily Sun this morning, we have Ibadan explosion. 58 houses affected, according to Neman, and says Kalu expresses sadness, urges full-scale investigation. That's expected. And Enugu government arrests 6 over alleged illegal mining. That will be all from the Daily Sun this morning.
All right, let's move from the Daily Sun newspaper to all the dailies out for this morning. And of course, our next stop will be for the Leadership. The Friday edition of the Leadership newspaper is also here with us, and it's leading with developments on judgment. It says governorship appeals. It's judgment day for Sule, Fubara, Oborevio, Oborebore. That's the governor in Delta. Supreme Court decides 13 cases from 6 states, including Ogun, Taraba, uneasy calm in Nasarawa, Rivers, Delta, Gombe. That's the rider to the bold one on the governorship appeals. It's judgment day for the governors that are involved, or the parties that are involved in the case. Labour threatens mass protest over insecurity. You find the picture of the NLC president, Joe Ajaero, accompanied that particular headline in the leadership this morning. And it's on page 7. You can check what the labor union is hoping to achieve with the mass protest over insecurity that it's been threatened at this time. You also find update here, Emir Fede to be arraigned on 20-count charge today. Afghan Super Eagles bounce back, beat Cote d'Ivoire 1-0. You also find this. Troops rescue 9 kidnapped victims in Benue. Nigeria's non-oil export revenue falls to $4.5 billion. You check that story, or those stories, in the leadership for today.
All right, away from the leadership, let's check what we have on the New Telegraph. From the New Telegraph, we have this one. Olukoyede, EFCC investigators taking bribes, compromising corruption fight. Right to that story says, reiterates need for discipline, integrity, sense of responsibility for officers, and is promising officers who tarnish commission's image will be punished. Details of that you find on page 2 of the New Telegraph. Still on the New Telegraph are the stories. FG molds automatic employment for first class graduates. Ex UNNVC, we need to review tertiary institutions curriculum. Right, you find details of that on pages 3 and 7 of the New Telegraph for this morning. And on page 6, alleged kidnapping. Evans rearrangement stalled over absence of co-defendants. And this Evans case has been going on and on for how many years now? Well, again, still in court. Let's hope, let's keep watching for what the outcome will be. Edo House leader impeached over indecent dressing. And all this, right? How indecent is the indecent dressing? Check page 31 of the New Telegraph for this morning. Sharia Court cancelled Tinubu. Take urgent steps to address insecurity and others. Find that on page 5 of the New Telegraph for this morning. And still on the New Telegraph, we have this one. We have this one also from the New Telegraph. 2024 FG to spend 1.6 trillion naira on electricity subsidy for consumers. Releases new tariff regime for 11 discos. Okay, and on the New Telegraph too, Ibadan blasts. Twin duplex with explosives detonated by motorcyclists. That's according to a landlord. Oyo Assembly identify homes of other illegal miners. And Kalu PDP call for thorough probe on the Ibadan incidents. Details of that is on pages 4, 6, 7, and 26 of the New Telegraph. And that will be all from the New Telegraph.
From the New Telegraph newspaper this morning, let's check other dailies quickly for time. The Punch newspaper, public outrage grows as kidnapping epidemic worsens. I used to think, in the this part of the world, what you find associated with that word epidemic is
sickness,
when there are cholera, some form of ailment or disease ravaging some part of the country. But sadly, we're now associating kidnapping, insecurity as an epidemic at this time, and rightly so, you would say, looking at the spates of its occurrence in recent time, and even where it is, the dimension it is now also going.
Yes.
The seat of government, that's the FCT, also not spared in having a share of this happening. Time and time again, you've had government officials, even the minister of the FCT, come out to say, "Look, Abuja will not, or the FCT will never be a safe haven for kidnappers, for criminals." And you still have some of these things going on. Recently, the IGP also launched a special squad, and we put all of this together. What Nigerians would say they want is really finding a solution to bring all of this thing come crashing down.
It's really worrisome because some instances you have a whole family kidnapped. You have instances where the person who is to pay the ransom, to the kidnappers, also held in captivity. So it's really become an epidemic, and we can only pray for a cure soon, so that Nigeria could be free again. People could be free to move and do things, go about their normal activities, as expected.
Of course, other headlines, the riders to the public outrage growing as a result of kidnapping, which is now being described as epidemic. 12 Zamfara Varsity students, official, 19 Abuja victims, 4 Akwa Ibom coppers among captives. Tinubu urged to tackle insecurity, food crisis at all cost. Bandits attack 10 Kaduna villages. IGP presents 2 billion naira to families of deceased corpse in Abuja. You also find this update. Supreme Court, Abiodun Adepo to learn fate today. Pleased to pay 50 million naira for arresting Abiola's widow in nightgown. Ibadan explosion. Deaths rise to 5. Soldiers occupy site. And this one is also above the nameplates of the Punch newspaper. FG plans over 3 trillion naira or $3 trillion for energy transition. That's on page 22 of the Punch. You also find reps order ministries to return 85 billion naira COVID-19 fund. Put all of those stories together, you get a grasp of what is happening in the country today.
All right, talking about what's happening in the country, let's check the nation to know the state of our nation. All right, on the nation, we have this one. Federal government charges Emefiele with lying to obtain $6.2 million. All right, ex-CBN boss awarded multi-million naira contracts to family members. The hearing, begins. All right, and we have there not so pleasant pictures of the victim of the Ibadan explosions. We have bodies are still being recovered. Ibadan explosions, 2 more bodies recovered, and we have this one, Abiodun Sule, Obiruvuri, Idris, no fate today. We've read that in other papers earlier on. Supreme Court to decide election appeals, and we also have this one. We've taken that too. Talking about the refund of 75 billion naira COVID-19 cash. House panel tells ministry. APC rules out automatic ticket for Ayeda Tiwa. Alright, you want to know, check details on page 5 of the nation. Right to the story says it will be level playing field. That's concerning Undo politics. Alright, check details of that on page 5 of the nation for this morning. And from the sporting side, we have Eagles shock elephants. Adeleke, you find that on page 30. Adeleke deposes Ikirun, Ire, Igbado monarchs. Ah, well, you find that on page 26 of the Nation, and honors for Anyoku at 91. That's on page 6 of the Nation newspaper for this morning. Zaid?
All right, quickly, let's check sports news now to perhaps put all of the joy from last night's encounter, the Africa Cup of Nations, bring it to your screen. And now, the Sporting Sun is what we have here, the sporting world, to check the update. Ivory Coast, new. Nigeria, 1. Super Eagles, redeem AFCON hope. As Troost Ekong's penalty fires Nigeria past Cote d'Ivoire. You see the celebration right there in the front page of the Sporting Sun for this morning. But you also find the other headlines away from the from AFCON. But of course, let's give you update on the Group A of the AFCON table. Let's check Equatorial Guinea is leading the table, 4 points, followed by Nigeria with 4 points. Ivory Coast also has 3 points. Guinea-Bissau, 0. That's how the table looks in Nigeria's group at this time. Other headlines in the sporting world: CR7 shows off £400,000 Ferrari. You also find we don't want you back. Real fans tell Benzema. I once saw L at Real Madrid. That's coming from Mbappe. You say, I never missed a Drogba match. We're saying this. Nigerian striker Victor Osimhen. You find more stories in the sporting world, particularly results and fixture from the Africa Cup of Nations. Equatorial Guinea, 4. Guinea-Bissau, 2. You have fixtures also coming up later today, 3 p.m. Cape Verde versus Mozambique. Senegal will play against Cameroon by 6 p.m. By 9, Guinea will play against Gambia. You also find some more updates right there in the Sporting Sun. That does it. Of course, Nigerians can still, in a way, celebrate yesterday's victory, particularly coming against the host nation. Did you see that match, Shadi?
I was busy doing something else at that time.
But you had the result.
Oh, yes, I had
and you
the
were
results.
happy.
Yes, I was
Because
excited.
for Nigerians who saw that match, post-mortem, what did the coach do right? What did he not do right? What do we need to do forging ahead? We'll bring all of that to you on AM today, this morning. But now we'll take a break. We'll be back with something important to discuss. Please stay. Good morning, sir.
I guess there is no guesting.
Yes, yes.
The election should be a contest of ideas and choices and not an opportunity to settle political scores or an excuse for calumny.
Thank you for rejoining us on AM today. Still in the AFCON mood following the victory of the Super Eagles of Nigeria in yesterday's encounter against Cote d'Ivoire, the host nation, at the AFCON 2023 tournament right there in Ivory Coast. We'll take a look at the situation, particularly for the Nigerian team, and of course, even the tournament is the biggest football showpiece on the African continent, and you have countries who are already trading tackles. Matches been decided. Some already getting to know their fates. You know, perhaps there is a chance to move out of the group stages. Others are still hoping that yes, we can still do this and make our country proud. This morning, we'll take a look at the Super Eagles, matters arising from the Africa Cup of Nations, as well as sport on the African continent, in Nigeria, and of course in Ondo State. And we're being joined by journalist and sports writer, former chairman of the Sport Writers Association of Nigeria, Mr. Wahab Bankole. Good morning. Good to have you on the program.
Yeah, thank you very much, Said. I'm very glad to be here, and thank you very much for having me.
I know you're not physically in Cote d'Ivoire, but I know you are spiritually there. So tell us, since the tournament started, perhaps we get your feel. Has it been up to your expectation?
Of course, yeah. Let's start, by thanking God Almighty and the God of soccer, for the victory recorded by the Super Eagles of Nigeria yesterday. It was something that every Nigerian was actually craving for before the start of the match. But when the match was nearly going to an end, about maybe when the added time of 9 minutes was shown by the assistant referee, people were beginning to say, all our hearts were in our mouth, and we're beginning to say, well, are we going to survive the onslaught of the Ivorians? But, the Super Eagles, held firm, and they were able to do something spectacular, recording victory over the Ivorians. Well, that's by the way. But as far as the AFCON is concerned, the tournament has been able to live up to expectations because I think in the past, we never had an AFCON that had so many goals as far as the group matches are concerned. But, so far so good, over about maybe 34, 35, 37 goals have been scored so far in the first round of matches, as far as first set of matches in the first round are concerned, and that's about over 155% more than what we had, during the 2021 edition. and I think it's something that we must be proud of as far as Africans, are concerned, because it is only in Europe that you get to see goals in various tournaments like that. But in Africa, because of the fact that we're having some great strikers and great players coming from the continent now, trying to return back to the continent to represent their fatherland. That's exactly why the standard is a bit high. And don't forget that we're having about 24 format tournament now compared to 16 format that we had in the past. And right now it gives room for people to say, okay, we have third best losers now. About 4 of them will be migrating to the second round of the tournament now. Before now we had about maybe from the group stage straight to the quarterfinal. But this time around, because of the format of the tournament now, we now have a station whereby we go straight to the round of 16. And from there, quarterfinal stage, semi-final, then to the final. So if you are not able to do so well as far as the group matches are concerned, maybe your first match, maybe the second match you're able to record a draw, maybe third match you're able to record a victory, then you have the chance of qualifying to be maybe third best teams, something that will progress into the next stage of the tournament. So by and large, I think the competition has lived up to expectations, and the fact that the competition is also, as it is now, has been able to produce some kind of shocking results, upsets here and there.
I was going to go to that, Wahab, because some are already tagging this tournament, a tournament for underdogs. So when you look at how ex-champions, big names, when you talk about football on the African continent, appears to be struggling. What does this really mean when you have a certain Mozambique holding Egypt, by the neck? They needed Mohamed Salah to salvage things.
Draw for them.
So, and you look at some other matches.
And look at the likes of Namibia hitting Tunisia, and teams beginning to say, well, of course, you have to say that the days of minutes in
some
African
would
football,
say Jungle, not the Marshall. How
course.
there's a way they put this in pidgin this time around. Right? It appears teams are maturing. Is that the case?
Definitely, you have to say that as African football is is developing and evolving. Let me put it that way. And you have to give it to some of the players who are from the continent. If you take a look at it now, let's start from the area of African players plying their trade abroad now. I'm not sure you're going to see any club sides or any leagues across Europe that will not find major African players there, going to the Ligue 1 in the French league, coming to the English Premier League, going to the Spanish La Liga, and even the Portuguese league now. You have several African players who are applying their trade there, and I think the exposure and whatever they are able to do in that particular and those leagues now are rubbing on their performances when it comes to their national teams. And because if take a look at for example, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, we're having about 25 players in this tournament. Only one is from the local scene, talking about the goalkeeper, and who we are not even sure
would even make
an
appearance
throughout the tournament now. Loreleke Ojo, who is the captain of Enyimba of Aba, very good goalkeeper. But if Nigeria are a country of over 200 million people, we are now attending this tournament, and we went there with about 25 players, and just only one is from the local scene. And the likes of maybe Ghana, Egypt. Of course, Egypt has always been a team that, plus or minus, we have crop of their players, playing in the Egyptian league, home base. But if the home base players attack them home base in Egypt, they're like foreign based, that climbs. So,
but that's also a thing about the structure of the leagues. Is that not it? The Egyptian league is one you also look to see beautiful football on the African continent.
Of course, it's not only about the Egyptian league, Zaid. It's about leagues coming from the northern part of Africa. Taking a look at the Moroccan league, the Egyptian league, even the Algerian league, even the Tunisian leagues. These are the clubs that dominate, CAF Champions League, CAF competitions, the CAF Champions League, CAF Conditions Cup, and some other leagues like that. So, so if you are playing in the Egyptian league and you are a home-based player, people will target you to be a foreign-based player in another league. You understand? So because of the quality of and the manner, the way the leagues are being organized, the exposure, the TV right, and every other thing that make the league very thick. So I think that's one of the reasons why we are now having teams coming to compete. The gaps now is being closed by the so-called minnows in the past now compared to the big wigs now. Who could tell you that if anybody could put his money on the card that Namibia was going to beat Tunisia, everybody would say, wow, is it going to happen? But I know somebody here like Okpedile who just plays a bet that okay, Tunisia will over 2.5. But at the end of the day, it didn't work like that. So you have to take a look at everything and the permutations here and there. I think African football is evolving, and the fact that some of these countries now are now organizing some of sub-regional competitions like the COSAFA. competitions for the for the Southern African countries now. From the western part of the continent, we have WAFU. And from the eastern part now, we also have the ISAFA, some of the countries. So they have a way of bridging this gap now, and they are now encouraging the local players now to be part of this tournament. Now, when you bring them together and they play together for a very long time, they will be able to gel together. The understanding will be there, the cohesion will be there, and the everything that you need to know will have to be there. So that's one of the reasons why the gap is being bridged right now.
Okay. I was talking about the local players. For instance, you said in the position of the current team representing Nigeria, will you have one home base there? But people have alleged in time past that the foreign players tend not to give their best, when playing for their own countries, like they are being careful not to sustain injuries because the country might not take proper care of them as it were, if they were playing for their club size. What do you?
That notion is subjective. It's not something that you can, actually pinpoint to say, well, we have that fact, on paper or on ground to say, okay, whenever the foreign-based players are playing for the national team, the commitment is not always there. They are not showing passion. They are not being committed. They are just being careful not to sustain injuries here and there. I think it's not something that we want to buy into 100%, because I've seen players who are from the foreign scene, who are from, especially, take a look at, Victor Osimhen. He's never a home-based player, and whenever he's playing for the national team, we always see the zeal, the passion, the commitment there. We want to put everything into the match now, and even taking extra risk. I've seen him play for Nigeria, got injured, enrolled this tournament that we are having right now. And he went to the club side in Napoli. People are going to say, why did you have to, put in so much into that kind of match? And he got injured. And take a look at yesterday's match. If not for his, determination, extra length for him to actually get something. That was why he was able to win the free kick, the penalty for Nigeria. And, that made the difference. The difference in the 50-50 minutes, scored by Truss Ekong. So I think it depends on each individual player. It's not every, player invited to the national team that will have that notion of not being committed or playing for the national team. It depends on how you take a look at them and what you are able to achieve now. Some of them might want to put in extra effort for them to seal their position in the national team. Some of them want to put in extra effort for them to get attention of other clubs who might want to, go for them when it comes to, career development. And some of them might say, well, as it is now, I don't have anything at stake now. You cannot compare the kind of zeal that, somebody who has just been invited to the national team now, like Bright Osayi Samuel, will have compared to, Ahmed Musa, who is, old war horse as far as the Super Eagles is concerned. Ahmed Musa is the captain of the team now. He's been, he's seen it all as far as the national team is concerned. And even people are beginning to, argue of why he was included in the squad that's currently playing at AFCON 2023. But, you have to take a look at the fact that it's not only when you play on the field that you are most relevant. Whatever you do for the team behind the scenes is also very, very important. I was telling somebody yesterday when Nigeria was playing, I said, well, that when Nigeria could not beat Equatorial Guinea in the very first match that ended 1-1, we were beginning to say, Nigeria, what are we going to do here and there? And nobody actually gave us a chance against the Ivorians yesterday that we were going to record victory over them, because we thought, okay, what we could not do right against Equatorial Guinea will not be corrected against the Ivorians, because they saw the Ivorians as a team that is stronger, than the Super Eagles of Nigeria. But at the end of the day, Nigeria and the Super Eagles were able to, put them wrong and say, well, it is not a matter of, how you play against Equatorial Guinea. It's about the mindset and determination you take into the match against, the Ivorians now. And, victory was ours. And for the Ivorians, I think they were the ones that were so disappointed yesterday with that outcome of the match now, because with the vociferous fans that are behind them, the presence of their president and some other top-notch as far as the Ivorian football is concerned, they could not beat the defense of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Here we are celebrating the victory. So the commitment is always very there, but we cannot really tell that some of them might also be trying to play for injury-free situation. But it's not every player that is invited from the foreign land that is always like that.
When you mentioned injury, a name popped into my head, and that's Sadiq Umar.
Yeah.
His situation has been generating quite a number of reactions at this time. Injured a few days to the start of the tournament, about 3 days after he's representing his club, and someone was saying, how come? Was he really injured, or it was skimmed out? These are some of the the conversation around the sporting world. What do you see to that situation?
Well, of course, is well, maybe a very bad news for Nigeria and good news for Real Sociedad, at the club side of Sadiq Umar, because naturally Nigerians were not particularly happy with the fact that the guy got injured during training session and was returned back to Real Sociedad for that treatment, only for him to recover overnight miraculously and begin to play for Real Sociedad. Yeah, I also asked this question yesterday when during the match when I was taking on a medical doctor who happened to be a physiotherapist now and formerly a member of the medical committee of the Nigeria Football Federation, Babatunde Akibinu. And he told me of the fact that if a player gets injured now, maybe you have an hamstring injury, and you'll be told that it's going to take maybe about 3 weeks. That's about 21 days for you to get recovered. That does not mean that you must spend the entire 21 days for the recovery period.
So it must
recover before that period.
3 days recovery.
You understand? So,
okay.
So exactly,
depends on the extent of the injury.
That is, exactly, and that is exactly the case of, Sadiq Umar. And instead of injury, Shade is right, and how your body chemistry respond to the treatment that is being meted out to you, by the medics now. So, but for now, I think it's something that is not encouraging, because now there's no way we can invite Sadiq Umar back to the Super Eagles again to be part of the Super Eagles squad, because he's been replaced, by Paul Onuachu, who was actually on parade yesterday, replacing Osimhen at a particular point during the match against the Ivorians.
Okay, still talking about how the fans, how they perceive the team, the zest with which they played, the commitment and all that. Yesterday while the match was on, a friend of mine who is a very good sports enthusiast was like, why are the Eagles playing like this? Or are they hold some amount? Why is it that in Nigeria, we've been having instances where I don't know of the current AFCON that is going on. Maybe there are dues that are yet to be paid, but we've seen instances where the Eagles, lack the proper motivation to perform during a match. So, how do you think there's going to be a change in this, with the current government?
If motivation is the name or the language that is understood by football followers for people to perform, I think the current Super Eagles of Nigeria will have to win the AFCON before even kicking a match now.
Yes, of course. Much has been done, so much is expected.
Exactly. A number of things have been done for them by, the current administration. Remember, before the start of this tournament now, all the money owed them, in the past, and the coaches were, paid off by, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the players are motivated. They have the winning bonuses with them. Everything that they need to actually perform, they have it right now. So in terms of motivation and, every other thing, I'm not sure the Eagles are lacking. Even some of the former internationals always visit them to encourage them. Because I told somebody yesterday, I said, okay, we've seen instances whereby Osinjeji Okocha will visit the camp now.
Yes.
He will, sit with the players, dine with them. He was there in company of the NFF president and the former president and former governor of, Lagos State, Ambode. They were there together. They saw, how the team was playing out. And at the end of the day, the players are encouraged, they are motivated to actually do well. And that was exactly what, the goalkeeper was saying, talking about Uzoho, that they want Nigeria to give them positive support. I begin to ask myself, do we have negative support?
There is, at the end of the first match, when Nigeria started saying, with this Eagle, this team is, they began to give negative comments, and I was particularly worried that this would not help these guys.
You must realize the fact that, in football, especially Nigeria as a country, the only thing that unifies us is sport, and football in particular, the king of sports. And when the team is not playing well, everybody becomes a coach. Everybody wants to say, okay, this is what you need to have done better, this is what you need to have done better, this is this, that is that. And so if it's like that, but okay, like yesterday now, after the victory yesterday, the kind of reactions and the negative comments that will come will be different from what we had against Equatorial Guinea. Because people saw Equatorial Guinea, where are they in African football? They have not won the AFCON before. They are, as far as FIFA ranking is concerned, they are not nowhere near Nigeria. Why is it that we have to come from behind to even equalize against them? Not even them forcing. We're the one that forced them. Thank God for that instant reply by Victor Osimhen that particular day. And but yesterday, if Nigeria had played a draw, if we had played a draw against
Cote
d'Ivoire, it would have been something like, well, Nigeria will take it like, actually, you understand? But the fact that we went ahead to beat them, now gave us the bragging right. Okay, maybe it seems the Eagles, have arrived. And if you take a look at the Super Eagles of Nigeria, whenever they are going to do well in any major AFCON, they will have to draw their first match. draw or win their second match. In 1980, 1994, 2013, it happened like that. So this time around again, the statistics is being repeated now. We drew our first match, we won our second match now, and on Monday when we shall be playing Guinea-Bissau, we expect us to actually record victory again against the Minos.
The Whipping Boys.
The Whipping Boys. But because the Bissau boys, they are gradually on their way home. They have played 3 matches in the tournament now, 2 matches now. They have lost both matches, and those matches that they have lost now, I'm not sure they are going to have anything that will be, be compensation for them to actually add the motivation to beat the Super Eagles of Nigeria. I think the match that will be very, very explosive on Monday in Group A will have to be between Cote d'Ivoire and Equatorial Guinea, because for the Ivorians now they need another victory to go to 6 points. And for Equatorial Guinea now, they need at least just a point to go to 5 points now for them to actually do well, in that particular order.
I don't know what to say. Are you trying to preempt the outcome of the match? Because going by your predictions of how the pattern has been, and now that we're following that means we are on the winning pattern now.
Yeah, of course.
This tendency will come back as AFCON champions.
Yes, in Nigeria, we can say that we are on the ascendancy as far as the performances are concerned, because right now we are on 4 points. Just goal difference separating us from Equatorial Guinea as far as the group is concerned. Equatorial Guinea have 4 points, we have 4 points as well, and Cote d'Ivoire is with 3 points, and Guinea-Bissau with no point. So if we are able to record at least a draw or a victory over Guinea-Bissau on Monday, definitely that will take us to the next stage of the tournament, which is the round of 16. But for the Ivorians now, they are on 3 points. They need to win against Equatorial Guinea, and they need at least a draw. Bad as it bad, let's put it that way, for them to actually have a hope of progressing to the the defeat yesterday by the Ivorians was the very first time that a host nation we have to record defeat at the group stage since 2012. So it's something that the Ivorians will want to forget in a hurry, and for them to actually write a good story about themselves and going forward, pacifying the fans who went home disappointed yesterday because of the fact that they never thought they could not muster that draw against Nigeria, let alone recording defeat in the hands of the 3-time champions, the Super Eagles.
So I'm tempted to ask. I know you've covered major football tournaments, World Cups, Africa Cup of Nations, been there and saw how teams get to bond and improve over time. From the first game against Equatorial Guinea, now we have the second game against Cote d'Ivoire also in the bag. You talk about perhaps this is a period for Nigeria to go on to win the AFCON. Yeah. But one would also want to ask, where do we still need improvement?
Well, of course, talking about improvement now, if you have been able to watch the first 2 matches involving the Super Eagles of Nigeria in this AFCON, we need no soothsayer to actually tell us where we need to improve, especially from the attacking side of it now, putting the balls, into the back of the net. I think the goalkeeper has, done very well. Talking about Stanley and Wabili, we never thought he was going to do anything spectacular, because before the start of the tournament, we were a bit skeptical about the performance or the ability of, Francis Uzoho, to actually man the post for Nigeria. But from the Blues now, Stanley Wabili came from South Africa, and he has done fantastically well. He was even the one that actually saved the day for us in court now in the first half against the Ivorian yesterday, because he made a number of good saves when the scorer was still a goalless situation. So in the goalkeeping aspect, I think we don't have any problem. And coming back to the defense now, I think the formation that has been adopted by Coach Jose Peseiro is something that is paying off now, because yesterday, if you take a look at it now, whenever we are defending with 4-5-1 compact defending. When we are attacking, it was 3-4-3. So we have the wing backs now, Ola, and Zaidu Sanusi moving as the wing back now, trying to support the attack whenever we are attacking. But the major issue is the fact that we need to be so decisive in our decision making. Talking about the striking rules now, because 1 or 2 decisions yesterday when Bright Osayi Samuel was brought in. He was running, had the opportunity of square passing the ball to Moses Simon, or give it to another guy very close to him. He was just running without even looking. Before he knew what was happening, he lost the ball. And so our decision making must be improved upon or on if we need to actually make headway going to the next set of matches. And I think that's exactly where the major area and our scoring, our chances of scoring goals. We must also try to create those chances and put them in the back of the net.
All right, we have in our team the Africa Player of the Year. That's Victor Osimhen. 1 goal in 2 games. How many will he be able to get? Some say he's lost so many chances, but of course, we hope and of course wish the Super Eagles of Nigeria the best in this tournament, go as far as they can. Thank you so much, Wahab Bankole, for coming on the program today.
It's my pleasure to be here, and we continue to wish the Super Eagles of Nigeria the very best as they continue their campaign at the African tournament.
I wouldn't know if you'll still be physically in Cote d'Ivoire before the end of the tournament, but of course,
time will tell.
wish you all the best in the coverage of the biggest football showpiece on the African continent.
Thank you so much.
Yes, this is where we say advice on the program. Shadi, you've soaked in a lot of football action this morning.
Yes, I have really. It seems I feel like Mr. Wahab should just continue, giving us the, maybe before the end of the matches, we'll still call you, to come and.
All right.
Maybe for the finals, the Super Eagles will get to the finals.
So we still call you.
Just pay me big.
All right, it's been a nice one having Wahab Bankole, on as our guest this morning, and he's been able to give you bits of how far the game has been with Super Eagles in the AFCON matches. My name is Folashade Ogido, saying enjoy the weekend.
Of course, from here, bye-bye. Enjoy Friday and the weekend. We'll be back with you on Monday. Good morning.